All right, talking with Ted on Tuesday. I'm Ted, and it's Tuesday, and I'm talking. Can you tell? All right, so I've got some resources that I want to mention. I mentioned in our last session on wilderness survival that you need to have a grasp and learn and experience and respond calmly, under control in a situation. How are you going to do that? One way that I do that is to look at how other people did it, okay? You may remember the books, libraries, media, movies, it's a library. Between a Rock and a Hard Place, okay, Aron Ralston, trapped for days in Canyonlands. Cost him his arm, but he survived, he lived. You don't want to read the book? Watch the movie, okay? Another one, Into the Wild, Jon Krakauer. All right, now ultimately that story's up in Alaska, but this young man, Chris McCandless, spent some time in Arizona. So there's definitely a Southwest element to it. You don't want to read the book. Watch the movie, okay? Finally, a different one, Death Clouds on Mount Baldy. This is a story back in the late 50s or 60s, I can't remember now, where some Boy Scouts were lost and many of them died on Mount Wrightson, south of Tucson, in a freak snowstorm. What happens, what the searchers do, how the parents respond, all these kinds of things are told in these stories, okay? Stories are important. There's very tall buildings in the world. You know, I've not been too many places, you know, Empire State Building, Sears Tower, etc. Which building has more stories than any other? The library, okay? So, get to the library, use the stories, learn, grow. 3 stories, The Lost Miner. Now again, I'm not going to read it to you, you can read. But he's filled with wanderlust. This guy is looking for the Lost Dutchman gold mine. It's between 105 to 110 degrees. I grew up in Phoenix. I know about these things. All right, so he's got 11 things, he or she. Okay? Here's my ranking. Number 1, the compass with the mirror. Why? Your decision when you find yourself in a situation is to do one of 2 things. You're going to stay put or you're going to leave. Okay? The vast majority of people who survive stay put. All right? So the compass actually is a bad thing because it encourages you to leave. And you don't want to do that, but it's got a mirror. Your best, strongest signal device is a mirror. Flashing that. You're busy, you're looking, you're working on a trajectory that's positive to get out, to survive, to stay alive. So number 1 really is the mirror. Number 2, I put matches. We've heard stories in Arizona, Rodeo Chetasky Fire, a signal fire got out of control from this lady that was lost, and some other factors going on there, and it got out of control and it was a huge disaster. Okay? Don't, again, panic, stay in control, but you're going to need to be able to make a fire. You've always got to be able to make a fire, no matter where you're at, unless you're above timberline, or in the Sand Dunes National Monument in New Mexico where there's nothing there but sand. So, but generally you've got to be able to make a fire. And you can see smoke from miles away. There's a fire burning now towards Pine Mountain, east of Cortez Junction, and I drive that way. It's 30 miles out there, and you can see that smoke. Okay, you can see it from a long way. And then number 3, I put down the 2 quarts of water. Technically, that in 3 days, the 2 quarts isn't going to matter if you have it or not. Okay, but it becomes more of a mental thing, and your mindset is critical. If you think this is going to help you, it probably will do some good. Ultimately though, like I said in the previous session, you want to ration the sweat, not the water. People die with canteens of water next to them because they're rationing it. They're saving it till later. It doesn't do you any good unless it's in your body, keeping your brain functioning. We're going to talk in a future session about what your body does, how it physiologically reacts in heat as well as cold, and when you understand that, you can mitigate moisture loss or temperature gain. And I'm going to talk about one thing here in a minute about temperature control. I went with number 4, the poncho. Shelter, again, you're going to stay in place. We know about staying in place these days. Number 5, I put the bandana, again, multi-purpose. Water filter, bandage, signaling, shade, a variety of things. 6, I put the wide-brimmed hat. I'm going to grab this hat. Now, not exactly wide-brimmed, but Danielle's not going to like my, see I have it up so it's not, you know. This is not that wide brim. I see people hiking today like I used to do when I was young. No hat, okay? We've learned something in the last 50 years. The sun will hurt you. You've got to have shade. Most of the temperature critical part of your body is your neck and your head. Okay, we'll talk about this later. We talk about like hypothermia and exposure. You've got to keep your brain from frying. Number 7. Where's number 7? 3 apples. Again, it's kind of a mental thing, but whenever you eat food, some people are so obsessed with food. I don't get it. If you're going to eat anything, cactus, apples, you're going to need water to assimilate that food. And if you don't have water, food is off the table. People want to know about edible plants, and I understand that. That's what I eat all the time. But if you don't have water out there in the wilderness somewhere, then food just off the table. You can survive for weeks without food. They do it all over the world all the time. We don't know about it in America. 8, binoculars. You might be able to use the magnification to start a fire again, multiple purpose. You might be able to see people out at a distance that you could attract their attention with a mirror and so forth. 9, folding shovel. You could create possibly a solar still, if you had with a poncho possibly to create water, but then again you're exercising, you're making effort, which is going to cause sweat, and you're probably going to actually spend more water and sweat than you're going to get out of a solar still. But you could hack open a cactus with it. Again, thinking multiple use, you could scare away those scary coyotes that want to run away from you anyway. 10, a water filter. This scenario is such that you don't have water there, but you could find it. And you're going to want to have an ability to make it safe. You probably have read the book Born to Run, okay? They drank some water on the trail on a run and they were worried, well, we're going to get Giardia, we're going to get sick. Well, you're not going to get Giardia for several days, weeks even, a couple of weeks. So, and you're going to need the water in the meantime. So even if it's not safe, it's keeping you alive in the immediate 2 or 3 day window that you're focusing on. All right, next, finally, 11, map to the gold mine. You can set it on fire. All right, so it's more important because it's as that use than a map, because again it encourages you to go, and you in this situation where you're lost, you don't know where you're going, so you want to not get tempted by the map to leave. All right, that was that scenario, the lost hunter. Okay, so Sonoran Desert again, Roosevelt Lake near the Superstitions, late summer, still pretty hot. All right, number 1 that I put, flashlight with the mirror. Again, flashlight, signaling at night, assuming you have batteries. Mirror, signaling during the day. Practice, do something positive. Number 2, cigarette lighter. Again, being able to start a fire is critical. Number 3, 2 quarts of water. Again, not critical for your length of stay out there for days and days and days, but still it's a mindset making you happy. 4, 25 feet of nylon cord. Again, multiple use, rigging shelter. It could have a first aid function, that kind of thing. 5, I know it's on here. Space blanket, again, it's part of a shelter, creating shade, wind protection. Number 6, baseball cap. Oh, that was the other hat that I had. Head covering is just crucial. Again, the bandana can do that. Space blanket, cut off a piece of it, put it, rig some kind of a shelter, shade for yourselves. Let's see. I think we're on 7. Shotgun and shells. A hunter's got to, dove hunting out there, you got to have a shotgun, all right? When you see something, you're going to start yelling, okay? Bad idea. I was in a group doing a survival workshop with this kind of stuff out in Santan Mountains, and somebody out just walking by shot their little gun, and a bullet went through the group. We heard it whistling past us, and everybody was yelling. Okay, I took out my whistle, blasted it 3 times, is an international distress signal. The whistle, the shotgun blast, when you see something potential, boom, 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 attracts attention, and it's going to be heard a lot more than your voice, which is going to dry you out more. So again, thinking. Number 8, all right, Band-Aids and gauze. You might get hurt. Fire material though as well. 9, sunglasses. Some are reflectorized, which it doesn't say here, but that could help with serving as a signal mirror. If something happens to other mirrors, things happen, things break, you lose things out there. So having backup is a good thing. But shielding your eyes from the glare is also going to help not inhibit your night vision should you need that. You probably will. You're going to be out there for a couple days. 10, toilet paper, fire material. There's a lot of substitutes for toilet paper. I won't get into that. Comfort, though, is a good thing. 11, trail mix. Again, food is okay, but it's going to dehydrate you. So if you don't have water, just put it, get rid of it. Feed it to the javelinas or something. That's it, 11. All right, so that's the lost hunter. We have 1 more to go. The lost driver, and this may fit more people. You're on the way to Lake Havasu. You're going to take a shortcut. Car breaks down. You don't know where you're at. Doesn't turn out exactly like you think. All right, that happens. Number 1, mirrors. You have the mirrors on the car. This person's at their car. They've got a bazillion things in this car that are crucial. I read about a lady who went from Tucson to Phoenix for a birthday for a grandchild. She ended up in Civic U past Globe, very disoriented. And like a lot of people, she left her vehicle. They found the vehicle first, which is almost always going to happen. Stay with the vehicle. You have so many things there to help you. Mirrors in this case. Number 2, cigarette lighter, again, because it's in the car. Right? People used to use those things for smoking cigarettes. Maybe they still do. Start a fire. You've got to be able to do that. Number 3, ice chest. 6-pack of Arizona tea. It's Arizona. That's the kind of tea that we would have. Again, it's fluid. It may not be enough to really make that much difference over the 2-3 days you're going to be out there potentially, but it's kind of a mental boost to your spirits, and if you get a boost to your spirits, it's a good thing. Number 4, large painter's drop cloth. Shade, shelter, wind protection, sun protection is crucial. 5, several fishing poles. Again, rigging a shelter, the line, tying things up, first aid material, etc. 6, where's 6? Spare tire, set it on fire. That could create such a smoky deal that could be seen from air search planes high up in the sky. People from 30 miles away be able to see that potentially. 7, newspaper. Okay, I was in a training program with DARES, Desert Alpine Reserve Emergency Services, with Maricopa County Sheriff's Department. This is 100 years ago. And so they talked about how easy it was for newspaper to be seen from the sky, very distinctive from the land, ground surface, okay? And of course you could burn it, you could read it, you could do the crossword puzzle, things that will help you to keep your mind off of dying. If you dwell on dying, you're not helping your situation. You cannot focus like that. 8, a roll of duct tape. You can make entire wardrobes with duct tape, so I have heard. Repairs, shoes, clothes, bandages, all kinds of things. Again, think innovation, multiple purpose is crucial. Where are we at? 9, tire iron. Again, digging. You're going to feel perhaps some sense of protection with this thing. As a tool, though, it can be used for a variety of things. 10, dry cleaning, long sleeve shirts and long pants, all right? And I was thinking of the dry clean, the plastic, to use as a thing to create a solar still with, all right? Where you put the plants inside, it's in a pit, you have to dig it, it's going to take sweat, and then it's going to condense the moisture from the plants inside or from the soil itself, and then you have a cup at the bottom to where it is going to drain the water, pure water into. But you don't get a lot of water out of those things. I've made one, and it's a lot of variable factors to determine how much water you actually get out of it. It may not be worth the effort. 11, finally, bag of potato chips. Not much good in a bag of potato chips, all right? So that's the ranking. The point, again, is for you to understand what you're going to do. How are you going to react? Are you going to leave or are you going to stay? You should stay. Another way that I've used this is to get a group of people, 3, 4, 5 people, and have the group then, after each individual ranks them, the group can rank them. And the whole exercise of communication, give and take, listening to understand how other people see things is crucial to your survival. Okay, I just watched the movie Lifeboat, Alfred Hitchcock, 1944. And the reason I watched that was to see how they survived out there on the ocean. You could read things like Louis Zamperini in Unbroken, and he will tell you about survival there in an ocean situation. This movie, Lifeboat by Alfred Hitchcock, was really more of a war propaganda story than it was a survival lesson, but you could see what people did, planned, innovated, worked together for the survival of the group, okay? And there were sacrifices made, etc. But that's those kinds of things, and like those resources I mentioned earlier, look at those things, see what people do, consider, train, read, study the land, spend time on the land. If the land is something that you never interact with, hiking or biking or boating or whatever, then when you get out there and you're stuck, it's not going to be your friend. It's going to be your foe, and you're going to be on edge right from the get-go. But if it's more of an ally and you work together, you are a part of it, you're going to do much better. All right? So next time in a future session, we're going to talk about survival kits. I'll take one apart and we'll look at what's in it, various things, and what they can be used for. Again, you've always got to be able to start a fire. You've always got to have a knife with you. Those are just very standard things. You've got to be able to signal. So we'll look at a survival kit, and then we're going to look at significant hazards in another session. What's the biggest danger out there besides you making mistakes? Is it rattlesnakes? Is it coyotes, scorpions? What is it? So we are going to discuss those kinds of threats. We're not going to get into a detailed first aid thing, but for you to understand what the threats are so you can mitigate them and not succumb to them. All right, let me know if you have questions. Spring Valley Library, thanks to Danielle and Priscilla Yarnell for creating the interactive online fun session. You didn't know that library types could be so fun, right? Danielle's laughing because she knows it's true. See you till next time.